Good morning, everybody. How was your weekend? Mine was too fast as usual. Let's see who's in here. First one in, Lex Luthor. How you doing? Big T's mom. Outlaw's in the house. Aggie's here. Kat's here. She's also backstage. Hello, Shannon. Hello, everyone. Ashley, how you doing, girlfriend? Kayla, what's up? Gaelic girl, how are you? Preschool Granny, Faye McBunch. Cool name, and I love the avatar. Hello, Michelle. Uli Girl. Hope everyone had a great weekend. What's your weather like? Because it is dreary and rainy here. Storms galore. Muffin Top, thank you for the flowers. If I miss somebody, I will catch you later. Lavender Moon. Let me see what this says. Candus should tell the truth and shame the devil. Oh, we got some talking to do about Candus today. Got some talking to do about her. I hope everybody's ready. Lisa, how are you doing? Pat, hello. Hopefully I got everybody. If I don't, I apologize. Like I said, oh, there's Bailey. Hi, honey buns. Then I'll catch you. Carla, hello. Then I'll catch you later because you guys always have awesome comments. You do. I did slow the chat down, so it shouldn't be so difficult for me. Hello, Joy. Hello, Janelle. She said it's raining in Idaho too. Lisa's got rain. Doesn't it make you just want to stay in bed and not do anything? Amanda, you got 3 inches of snow. Hey, Bailey. See, I'm telling you what, when spring is in the air and then winter tries to make another comeback, boy, it makes me mad. Cannot stand it. I can't stand winter anyway. Once I take the Christmas tree down, I'm like, okay, we're done. Let's get on with spring and start complaining about it being hot. Someone else that got snow the other day is our friend Kat. She's backstage. Good morning, Kat. How are you today?
Good morning, Brooks. I'm really good. How are you doing?
I'm good, honey buns. Mr. J. Quinn says, hey, Brooks. Hey, Mr. J. Quinn. We got some new names in here. While everyone's getting settled and getting their notification, give it a like and make sure you've subbed.
Yeah, it stopped snowing pretty quick. But, I mean, it did go over 2 days. It didn't actually settle. It was just like a mix of hail and snow and sleet. It was really yuck. And the week before that, we'd had like a really nice heat wave. And it got up to like 80 degrees. And now it's back down to about, I don't know, 50 or something. So,
Has the snow melted off?
Oh, it didn't settle. It was just coming down and then it would stop and then it would melt and then it would start again. And yeah, so it was a bit yuck, but it's fine this week. I mean, it's not brilliant weather, but you know, British weather never is. So we won't complain.
Don't complain.
It's not snowing.
Complain about the weather because it's going to change anyway. Artie's rubbing it in. Artie said South Florida, 76 degrees. Shame on you, Artie. Shame on you. Hey, Bob, how's it going? All right, so a few things went on over the weekend. Did everybody catch Chris McDonough? Mary was on.
Oh, yes, I did catch that.
Something on the community tab to see what everybody thought about it. Of course, the poodle comment was beyond disturbing. I think we are now dealing with psychopaths. We are no longer just dealing with neglectful parents.
Right.
These are psychopaths.
Yeah. And to me, the problem is, I mean, I'm not a doctor, obviously. We leave that to Dr. Clark. But
yes,
the thing is about that is that we can't really diagnose them as psychopaths or sociopaths or whatever. But considering what we know, I mean, at least a psychopath and a sociopath living together is just one of the worst combinations that you can have, especially with children. It's just, well, yeah, doesn't bear thinking about.
They are definitely ill-equipped.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not just to have children, but just to do normal, everyday adulting.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. And I guess that's why we are where we are. I mean, you know, if we were dealing with normal human beings in this case, then I guess we'd see normal human beings reacting to the loss of their daughter over the last 10 months rather than seeing what we have seen, which has been an S show, to put it, you know, mildly.
Yep. Oh, it's definitely been something. You know, and again, Um, you know, we're not going to solve the crime.
No.
We all have our opinions, we have our theories and everything, but there is definitely something really big going on that this can't be solved.
Yeah. Yeah, although I do still hold out hope that it will be solved.
Oh, I think it will be. I'm really hoping that it goes to a grand jury soon. It's like, look, we don't have Summer, but this
Right.
is what we have. Can we go forward based on this?
Yeah, that was interesting. I was talking to you with you about that the other day because obviously, like being over here, we don't have grand juries in the process. But
Hmm.
that probably would be a really positive step in this case in terms of moving it forward if the grand jury decide that that's what is going to happen. So yeah, waiting for that with some kind of like anxiety and hope, really.
Kindness sprinkles. I will check my email as soon as I get off of here. Hello, Chris Melcher. Yeah, that would be a really good thing. It happens in lots of cases. That's how they prosecuted the parents of the West Boys.
Yeah, without the physical evidence, I guess in circumstantial cases, the grand jury can be a massive, massive help in bringing the case forward.
Huge help.
Hmm.
Well, you know what else is a huge help? When people leave amazing comments,
Oh,
not
we love
only in chat,
comments.
but after the show. So, I
Yeah,
mean, during the live, obviously, we can look at comments and talk about them because they're all great.
yep. Let's
A
do it.
few, a few aren't. But anyway, but after the show too. So hang on one second. We're gonna go through some comments.
Okie dokie.
All right. Gidget says, I think he, meaning Don, is just trying to squash all the rumors going around on YouTube, so we will stick with stranger abduction. Not gonna happen
Mm.
to me. But anyway, that's what I was getting from the no one would love her enough to save her. Now,
Hmm.
if you listen to the show on Friday, Don said this isn't there's basically he's saying this isn't like a sympathizer that took
Hmm.
Summer. He makes it very clear. It's a very eerie recording of him saying, no one just loves Summer enough to get her out of a bad situation. Okay, well, he's admitting there's a bad situation. But
Hmm.
I agree with this. I agree. Connie Hillacre, welcome to Love to Chat. Welcome to be. Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. So, what do you make of this comment, Kat? Because I love it.
Yeah, I'm thinking there's different ways to interpret what Don said in that recording, and he has pushed this stranger abduction narrative right from the probably the first day that he came out to speak. And considering the lack of evidence that the law enforcement have into this stranger abduction theory, it wouldn't surprise me that he is still trying to push that narrative, because in his mind that's what he's been trying to push all the way along. It was quite dark what Don said about no one loving Summer enough to save her from a bad situation. But I guess it wasn't really surprising because that's what we've heard from Don like all the way along.
It's the only narrative that they can stick to. They
Hmm.
can't tell the truth.
Right. Because as soon as they change the narrative now, I mean, if they changed it now to something, like they thought maybe it was someone that loved her enough to save her from a bad situation. I mean, any way you look at it, if they change this narrative now, it's going to be bad news for them. So they're going to keep pushing it now.
It's the only thing that they are going to go with. They would
Hmm.
never consider that she just wandered off. Of course, they're not going to admit to an accident that they covered up.
Right.
You know
It's
what I
also
mean?
strange to me why they went with the stranger abduction narrative over the she wandered off narrative, because, I mean, not trying to give them an out or anything, but they've landed themselves in some real hot water with this abduction narrative, in my opinion. And I think, at the beginning, if they'd have said she'd wandered off, I mean, and stuck to that, then they would have possibly been in less hot water than they are right now, because they wouldn't have had to have kept adding stuff on top of the narrative. But this whole abduction narrative thing, they've constantly had to try to explain why they think that in the face of lack of evidence from law enforcement, and they've dug themselves into some pretty deep holes. So
Oh, they've painted themselves in a corner. And then I think
right.
about when Jose was talking to McDonough,
Hmm.
and he was talking about when the FBI came to see him. And
Yeah.
he mentioned that they were, looking at bodily harm from either Don
Hmm.
or Candus or both. Chris
Yeah,
wasn't surprised, and he said that's how it's
it's
folding
going.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think you know, like we've said before, the FBI knows a hell of a lot more than we do. And that coming out from Jose right there was confirmation to me that they know where this investigation's headed, and they have since day 8 when they interviewed Jose, at least.
Yeah, I agree. Sarah says, she says, I'm not sure who said it, but you were spot on saying Candus can't be alone. I think it was you that said that, Kat.
It was me, yeah,
Right.
it was me.
Kat was the genius, Sarah. But you were spot on saying Candus can't be alone. Now, I mean, I totally agree with that. I think she's an extremely codependent person.
Yeah.
Not just on Dawn, not just on her mother, but anybody she can leech onto.
Yeah.
She goes on to say she needs the attention or she's unhappy. It's probably why she neglected Summer. If Summer looked too pretty, Candus didn't get the attention she felt she deserved.
Mm-hmm.
Now with Summer missing and Dawn behind bars, not able to stop her, she's getting all the attention she can with YouTubers. Exactly. Spotlight is on Candus. Spotlight is on Candus, and Candus loves it. There is a problem with people that make everything all about them.
Uh-huh.
That have to have a certain degree of like gratification at all times. No human can keep up with that.
No. Well, it's a very narcissistic trait to have when everything becomes about you. But also Candus tends to seek out people who will enable her and will facilitate her to stay the same way she is, which is where the codependency is. I mean, there's YouTubers, for example, who have tried to discourage her from drinking, and she sits there and drinks in front of them and then tries to tell them that it's a Mountain Dew or whatever. That kind of thing, when she can get away with it, is exactly the kind of behavior she expects from people, that they will allow her to get away with something even though they know that she's doing the wrong thing in their face, you know. So it's very easy.
Then she'll go on to lie and say,
yeah,
I haven't drank in 3 weeks.
exactly.
Then we change it to 2 weeks. Then next thing you know, she's on her channel singing country music.
Yep.
You can just imagine the dog's ears outside. They're probably howling.
Yes. Or the cats as well. Yeah, I agree. She's very codependent, and that's why she can't be alone, because she constantly needs people to reassure her and make everything right for her, even though she's doing the wrong thing herself. She needs people to constantly be telling her, oh, well, that's okay. Of course you're doing that because your daughter's missing, so that's perfectly fine.
I think it's the reason she helped get Ernie out of jail.
Yeah, I do too.
She had to have her ally.
Exactly.
No, thank you for the super sticker. She said, thank you, Brooks, for keeping Summer's story alive. I'm with you until the end, ride or die, baby. Well, Snow, thank you, because you're keeping Summer's story alive too.
Yep.
1 second. I'm on the wrong tab. Give me a minute, guys. It's Monday.
Oh, that's fine. I don't even know how to use
no,
them.
I agree with what Sarah's saying. You know, she likes attention all on her. Even if it's bad attention, she enjoys it.
Yeah. Yeah, it fuels her. It's like food to her, or fuel to her. So the more attention she gets, the more confident she feels to do the wrong thing, because she knows that people feel sorry for her. So they're just going to turn around and be like, oh, well, you know, we know that you were actually sitting there drinking, but we're going to pretend like you were drinking Mountain Dew, and we're going to send money to your Cash App, you know. It's that kind of behavior that she's grown up with, she's had around her for a whole entire life. That's what's made her the person that she is today, and she continues to be that person, because while people don't challenge you, you can get away with it, and when people do challenge you, you just find someone else who won't challenge you.
Hang on, we just got challenged. The whole panel is about your own rightness. It's not helping Summer. Find God, all of you. The pile of stones are huge. You're killing people with your mouths.
Okay.
I don't know what the hell you are talking about. You're advocating for a missing little girl.
Right.
Her parents do not want anyone advocating for her. They want this story to go away and the case to turn cold and be gone. To get gone. They want
to make it all about themselves.
And what did Summer ever do to you, Lisa, that you don't want her story out there? What about Harvey Montgomery? What about Oakley Carlson? What about Michael Vaughn and all the other children we talk about? They deserve it. Their parents want it covered up. They want it done and over. Well, not Michael Vaughn.
Yeah.
Something wrong with you, Lisa. There's something wrong with you. Obviously, you had a bad weekend, Lisa.
I think people like that just tell on themselves already when they put comments like that. It doesn't expose anything about us. It just exposes something about themselves.
You got it. Robin said, police and CPS been to property several times. Dawn and Candus each have something on the other. Candus's temper, photos portraying bruising. Dawn, possibly SA. We know with the sisters. Since arrest from Jose incident, what if Dawn had laid law down to Grandis and Candus not to be around men or have them to stay? H may not have been around since Jose. Some are told to keep quiet about spending the day with Hunter, and she told her brothers. Candus lost it with Summer. Candus sent boys to the creek. I have a feeling there was a conversation. Don't tell Daddy that Hunter was with us.
I wanted to make a comment about that because I've had thoughts about that over the weekend, about Candus and Don covering up for each other and all of that stuff. I think we've talked about it before, and that comment kind of brought it up again, that they have something on each other. And I kind of think that after listening to Chris McDonough on Saturday night, I really started to think that perhaps what we think Don and Candus have got on each other is nowhere even close to what they have on each other, because there's obviously some really dark stuff happened in the past and happening within that household. And what we might think they have on each other, at this point, I'd probably lay a wager that when we find out what they have on each other, if we ever find out, it's going to be a million times worse than anything that we could have surmised or assumed or predicted. Because hearing Chris McDonough the other day just kind of brought it home to me that there's a lot more darkness in that household than we can imagine.
I totally agree. If we have thought of it, which we're going to keep talking about it. No, we're not going to solve the case on here. We're here to discuss, to keep these children in the forefront so the cases don't go cold and, you know, the pressure remains to find the children.
Right.
But no, I couldn't agree more. I think when it all comes out, it's going to blow our minds.
Right. I mean, we only know about what's in the public domain about, for example, Don's previous convictions, Candus' previous children, that kind of thing.
Which is mind-blowing.
Right, exactly. That's mind-blowing enough. But listening to that Chris McDonough thing the other day, what it brought home to me was, because of all these secrets in this household, there could have been a hell of a lot more stuff going on than we would even be able to imagine. Because these two, bearing in mind, like earlier I said, now I believe that one is at least a psychopath and the other is at least a sociopath, have no conscience or no way of actually being able to tell themselves that their behavior is wrong. And therefore they could have committed a hell of a lot more crimes than we could even shake a stick at trying to imagine, you know. So I'm not accusing them of anything, by the way. I'm just saying I don't know if our imaginations can even stretch that far when it comes to these two. And I bet what they're holding over each other is a lot darker and a lot more sinister than any of us would even be able to imagine.
You're 100% right. Proof is in the pudding. And when somebody gets caught, it's because they got caught. It's not the first time they've done it.
Exactly.
And what little bit we know, even though it's jaw-dropping, is just scratching the surface.
Right.
Much, much more is going to come out.
Yep. 100% agree with you, Brooks.
Yep. Beck B said it's going to be so scary and so sad. I agree with Kat. I do too, 100%. Malia said, Candus saying she has no idea what Dawn was doing that day means she's been thinking about herself and ready to throw Dawn under the bus. We're going to talk about this. It won't be much longer, I hope, until they are both arrested and they can throw each other under the bus. Odd that after 9.5 months into this, she's on a panel and says, but that's not how Donnie is. That's not how Donnie works. I can't keep up with Donnie. I don't even know what he was doing that day. Okay. Yes, you do. Yes,
Yes.
you do.
She
You
knows
think
more.
nobody has asked what Dawn was doing that day?
Mm-hmm.
You don't think that by now the TBI Hawkins County has not figured out where Dawn was that day or wasn't that day?
They know.
Everyone is still a suspect.
Mm-hmm.
Candus, I'm telling you, girlfriend, you blow my mind. But we're gonna get back to that in a minute.
Okay.
Okay. Then we had the clip last week where Candus was talking to Cam and Allie, and she basically said that she doesn't like the script. How did she say it, Kat? I can't remember exactly.
Oh, no, that was before. She said you're too stupid to understand the script. That was before. Um, that's not how the script goes, or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But
He knows I'm not comfortable with the script.
script, right? Yeah, that was it.
Okay, that's what she said.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Halsine said, or did Grandis write the script? Remember, Dawn said Grandis is the smartest out of all of them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure that Candus didn't write the script, but again, they've adapted the script to suit the narrative that they've been trying to push since day one, which is that this was a stranger abduction. So, you know,
But then
she's
you
not.
turn around and say you don't know where Dawn was all day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So on that note, okay, Candus was on another panel and she's talking about that's just not how Donnie is. That's not how Donnie is. And all she does is keep up with the kids, which cannot be true. Okay.
Definitely not true.
Sorry. But then this screenshot between her and Daryl has been resurrected. It was sent to me over the weekend,
Mm-hmm.
where he is basically blaming their oldest son for being involved, which is wrong. Wrong. I'm not even going to go there. And Candus says, wow, blame my son. And he's been at work with my husband. Now she's
Mm-hmm.
talking about that day. She's talking about June 15th, that the oldest son, was working with Dawn. So how many times can we change our story?
Mm-hmm.
How can we say this, that your oldest son was at work with Dawn when somebody's trying to pin it on him, which again is wrong, and then come back and say, after she says all she does is keep up with her children, but I don't know where Dawn was that day. Well, then where was your son? You're saying your son was at work with him that day.
And she hasn't really said that again since either. She changed that story quite early on, because this is like early on in the case. She's saying, blame my son, he's been at work with my husband. Well, then she hasn't said that again really since then, has she? And now all of a sudden she doesn't know where her husband was that day either. So
Yeah, so you don't know where your son or your husband were?
Exactly.
But she did tell Hunter that too.
Yeah. Well,
Hunter, but I thought she said all the boys went to work with Dawn.
Mm-hmm. Well, he didn't seem to know, did he? Because I remember at the time he was like, well, I think Candus said that the boys were at work with Don that day, but now I'm not sure. So she'd obviously said that to him at some point, that all the boys went with Don to work that day, but then he couldn't remember, I guess, when he was interviewed by Chris McDonough, whether that was something he was supposed to say or not supposed to say, or, because if we're going with the theory that she kind of coached him a little bit on what to say, he couldn't then remember if that was the truth or not.
But then also we were told the 3 were left at home to clean.
Exactly. Yeah. Then she started saying that the 3 boys were at home and they were cleaning or whatever she said. But so we've gone from her son was at work with her husband. All of her children were at home that day. Hunter didn't know if the children were at work with them or not. And her husband was all this time was working that day. And now all of a sudden, she doesn't know whether he's home or not that day. She doesn't know where he was.
But we just keep making it up as we go along, and we forget what we said before.
But that's where you can tell where the lies come in my opinion, because if it was the truth, then it wouldn't have ever changed, would it?
Truth can't change. Truth can't change. And boy, Mom, I agree with you. She said, in my opinion, this is just to throw off LE. Keep them guessing, so to speak. This is a plot to cast reasonable doubt, I'm sure.
100% agree.
100% agree with that.
Yeah.
100% agree with that.
They've confused the narrative ever since day one. And the only reason in my mind they would do that is because they're hoping that if it ever gets to trial, that there'll be a mistrial or confuse a jury, or, you know, if anyone has confused this case and if anyone's put stuff in place to make sure there will never be justice, it's those parents, in my opinion.
100%. Ever since they started talking, it
Yep.
was nothing but a huge word salad with extra ranch on the
Right.
side that
Yeah.
made no sense.
Exactly.
And I agree with Santa. With all the lies, you'd think it'd be easy to shake a confession out of her. I don't even think they need a confession anymore. There's so many red flags. They're just trying to piece it all together. The truth
Right.
is in there somewhere.
But as well, like we were talking about psychopaths and sociopaths, they don't have a conscience. So even if you tried to shake a confession out of them, look what happened when the Utah called Don in jail to talk to him about these allegations with his stepsister. Even they said he constantly blamed everyone else. It's always about him being the victim. They're making up lies on him, etc. So they're never going to see Summer as a victim if they were involved in some kind of foul play. They're never going to be able to admit it or have a conscience, because they don't have a conscience about it. So to them, whatever happened to Summer wasn't wrong. Whatever they did to Summer, they didn't do wrong, because they literally have no concept of right and wrong. There is like a complete disconnect between what happened on June the 15th and what's happening now in their minds.
They have no conscience.
No.
They have no empathy for others, and they will never show any accountability.
No.
Everybody else is always to blame.
Exactly. And that's why I believe there'll never be a confession.
Up with their psychology.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't even been remorseful. Any parent. Okay, I got an email from a local over the weekend, and she said, I just still can't believe that they wouldn't even consider she wandered off. You know, this lady knows the area. She said there's thousands of places she could have been.
Yeah.
In that area, just on their property alone.
Yep.
But they're not going to do that. But
well,
they have not
been.
Now. Yeah. They are never going to show any remorse, any accountability, nothing. So
and you know what? Because they don't know, because they have no concept of what's right and wrong, and you know, this kind of psychopathy going on, they will never ever ask for justice for their daughter, or they will never ask for their daughter to be brought home safe and sound, because they have no concept of what actually they did to Summer on that day and what they've done to their other kids in the meantime. You know, they don't see it as wrong.
They don't even talk about the mistreatment of their children. They act like that elephant in the room can just be ignored and swept under the rug. Exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all the way through this case.
Most people would be too embarrassed to even speak, knowing what people know about them. That's what I'm talking about with them. People knowing what they know about them, and they are still front and center.
Yeah.
That's why everyone else is to blame. They take no responsibility or accountability for their terrible actions.
Yep. And I don't think they ever will, Brooks. I don't think they can, and I don't think they ever will. I don't think you can really heal a psychopath. It's not something that can be cured. Do you know what I mean? It's not something you can teach someone to have a conscience. It just can't be done.
They're going to have to get a grand jury, or they're going to have to get them on something dead to nuts and watch them fold. They'll fold on each other.
I hope so. I just wonder. It just makes me wonder, that's all.
Oh, it makes me wonder too. It drives me insane. I'm like, what the hell? You ever wake up at like 3 a.m. You're like, WJHL, anything going on, you know?
Yeah, but like 3 o'clock in the morning is like about 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning here. So usually
we're doing the same thing, just at different times.
Yeah.
Anything is possible with them. But when I heard that Chris McDonough interview, I'm just like, man, when they bring animals into it, now we're on a totally different level.
The thing is, there are 3 like really clear signs of psychopathy, and harming animals is one of them. Ever since, well, for a while, I guess. I mean, I think it was Candus that said something about Don setting fire to a cat or something before that was just hideous to hear. And then there was that Jose interview where he described in detail what happened with the animal. I'm not going to go into that again. And then this, what came out on Chris McDonough's show the other night. it just didn't take anything more to convince me that we are not dealing with people who have no psychopathy. Let's just put it that way. In the absence of, a medical diagnosis, these people are not. They're psychopaths. In my mind, they are psychopaths. And if they're psychopaths, then they can get up to absolutely anything and have no conscience or understanding from right from wrong. They have no conscience.
No conscience. That's why they can talk about the disappearance of their daughter, the fact that she's still missing, without even a hint of emotion in their voice.
Exactly.
They disassociated June 15th, actually before.
They would have been born like this, really. I mean, you don't really learn to be a psychopath. It's something that you're pretty much born with. And realistically, the fact that Don could say that whole conversation that we listened to on Friday, about how he believes that Summer was, killed in such detail with no empathy, no tears, no hint of emotion, to me, that's a sign of a psychopath.
Dina, she says 2 things that really, really boil my blood are harming children and animals, and Don Wells checks both boxes.
Absolutely.
He does, and so does Candus.
Yeah.
Because standing by and watching it is the same, well, not the exact same, but she's okay with it. Let me put it that way.
Well, Dr. Phil said trigger after trigger after trigger after trigger, and not a tear.
Nothing. Not unless she feels like she's being interrogated.
Exactly.
The
only sympathy both of them have is for themselves. I mean, for Don to preach on about how he's the victim in this situation since day one, and for Candus to burst into tears because it's not helping her. Again, the only people they can cry for is themselves. The only sympathy, empathy, everything else they have is for themselves.
KJ3, girlfriend, I'm on the same page. They need to put Dawn in a room and play Candus's YouTube parties on repeat. Just keep them on loop. Talking to Ernie, talking to Cam, talking to Benny, talking about Tim and the phone. Keep serenading her YouTube audience with country songs while drunk. Keep it on a loop. I have a feeling Dawn might say something then.
Right. It's like some kind of Chinese torture or something. But yeah, I agree.
Best interrogation tactic ever. I love it.
Better than waterboarding, let's put it that way.
That's psychological warfare, but I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. Hello, Julie. Julie just came in, said hi to everybody. All right, so I don't know if this is on Benny's channel or he was on another panel. I don't know. Very interesting during the last search what Candus and Grandis were up to. They didn't seem to be bothered that the authorities were once again searching for Summer. Now, we know they're not going to get off their asses and go help. Okay, that goes without saying. They can't even pin a flyer to a telephone pole.
Right.
But they found another way to spend their time. I'm going to play this clip real quick, guys. I can't put it on the screen because it's the wrong type of video, but hang on, just listen.
I said, man, you go down there and see them folks today? You said you were down there being uncooperative.
Okay, so when he says those folks, he's talking about the authorities that are looking for Summer.
Yeah, the searchers.
Folks today? You said you were down there being uncooperative. You being uncooperative. No, I didn't go down there. So why you not go down there? I go down there, and that's what I told her. Tug on that sheriff's. Tug on his shirt. Ask him some questions. Tell him some stuff.
I couldn't agree with this more. They're out there searching for your daughter. Go out there, at least, show concern. Ask them what's going on with the case. We haven't heard from you guys. But they already said you're being uncooperative.
And they're just they're proving them right. They are no longer cooperating. That was what Sheriff Lawson said.
Oh, he flat out said.
I mean, they've only had
we're
like,
not
you know,
cooperating.
they've only had like 9.5 months to join the search for their daughter, right?
Mhm.
You know, at any point could they have got up and done any searching for themselves? Apparently not.
Oh, they weren't going to do that.
No, they haven't done it.
And if they did, they would be searching in the direct opposite.
Yeah.
They wouldn't give any clue of where she's really at.
Right.
Okay, so he goes on to say, hang on.
What you doing, girl? Playing Monopoly.
They were playing Monopoly.
Well, what do you know?
While the search was going on. I kind of have them pegged for gin rummy players. I don't know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I like all games. But Monopoly.
Yep.
So they're a little smarter than we thought. They're playing Monopoly.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder who won.
I wonder who got sent to jail. Do not pass go.
That's what I want to know. Which one you got? Which one? It'd be funny if they were both in jail.
Right. And then no one could get to the community chest, which was dry, and they had to stay there.
Nope, no Cash App in Monopoly.
Right.
You got Monopoly money. Okay, so they're playing Monopoly while authorities are searching for Summer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got to do something to occupy your time, right?
Maybe they thought they were going to find Summer in Old Park Road or whatever the names of the Monopoly squares are on.
Maybe Summer was on Park Avenue. Never know.
Park Avenue, there you go.
Here we go.
Monopoly. Monopoly? The hell you mean, Monopoly? Monopoly. Monopoly, bro. They're looking down in a fucking retention drainage ditch for your fucking blue-eyed, blonde-haired daughter right by your fucking house, and you're up there playing Monopoly. Monopoly. Not even Clue? Like, even up there trying to solve a crime? You up there trying to buy four purples and put a fucking hotel on Baltic Ave, and I'm asking you to shame the devil? Monopoly. Man. Can you imagine? They're around the corner looking in the ditch for your baby, and you're hoping you don't hit jail, so you can go past go and get $200. And man, this is shaming the devil. If I'm lying, I'm crying, I ain't shed a tear.
Okay, so no, I don't think he's making it up. I think she's always got to have a answer for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So he asked her, you know, they're out searching. Did you go out there and talk to him? See if there's anything new in the case or anything like that? No, me and my mom are playing Monopoly.
Mm-hmm.
So you're sitting there calmly playing a board game. I mean, I would be surprised if they were actually playing Monopoly, to be quite honest. I really would. But she's got to have an answer for everything.
Right.
So you're just in there calmly playing a board game while they're out looking for Summer. You would think that there would be a pit in your stomach, your heart in your throat, you know, on the edge of your seat.
I mean, you might at least make something better up than playing Monopoly. I mean, if you're going to lie, you could at least say, like, No, we just finding it too painful to go out and look right now. So we decide to stay home and comfort each other. Something realistic.
We were praying.
Right.
You know, we called
Even that.
Robin and asked her to pray with us. Something.
Exactly.
Play Monopoly.
The reason that she said play Monopoly, in my opinion, is because she's a callous B word with no conscience, that she can sit there playing Monopoly or anything, playing anything while they're out there searching for her daughter, and not even make up something to soften the blow rather than that. I mean, I just don't know what they think they make themselves look like, to be honest.
I don't either. I mean, at least say it's too painful. We don't want to get in the way.
Exactly.
They've asked for people not to search.
Yeah.
That they'll do it.
Right.
We just stayed in the house and waited for an update. But yeah, we want to find out. But see, they're not going to go out there and get in the middle of law enforcement.
They can't even lie about it. They can't even lie about it. They can't even make up a reason.
They're not going to make phone calls to get updates.
Right.
Hey, what's going on? Is there anything you can tell us? You know, we're dying here. We want to know where Summer's at.
Exactly.
They're never going to tell us anything like that. It's always something so ridiculous. Oh, yeah, while they were out searching, we were just playing Monopoly.
Right.
And I don't know, Santa K, if she gave $1,000 for Ernie's bond or not.
I don't even know
she
exactly.
Gave something, and something's too much considering your daughter's missing.
Exactly. And considering that the money that she has is donated by people that follow her YouTube channel, that she begs for, I would be feeling very upset if money I sent to Candus was used to bail the likes of Ernie out of jail, personally.
Well, you have a different metabolism.
I do, yeah. To be fair, my metabolism is quite quick.
You have a different metabolism. Yours isn't like Candus's.
Yeah. I have a better moral diet, so my metabolism is a little bit quicker.
Well, and I think it was Thursday or Friday. I'm going to link it in the bio. Doug over on No Thanks Investigates. Great guy, super funny. Loved Crime and Justice on there. Almost called her by her real name. Anyway, comes across a Facebook audio. Some people are saying it's Candus. Some people aren't sure. Some people are like, no, it's not Candus. The only correlation is this guy who is, they're talking about S trafficking, guys. You're going to hear it in a second.
Mm-hmm.
They do have a Facebook friend in common.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to bring this person's name up because the last thing we need is more mud in the water.
Yeah.
So we're going to listen to it, and you guys tell me if you think it's Candus or not. Go back and listen to it again. Either way, it's been turned into the TBI. It's very disturbing. I'm going to put the trigger warning up real quick. There you go. You've been warned. You've been warned. And I know a lot of people have been talking. It's a bad recording. It's bad.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are convinced, considering she's talking about her and her mom, that it is Candus. Some people are like, nah, I don't think it's her. Like I said, they do have a friend in common. They do. But now, mind you, Candus has like 11, 12 Facebook accounts. So hold on 1 second. You guys be the judge. Hold on. All right, so this guy's name is Jerry Preston.
Mm-hmm.
Not a good dude. Not a good dude. And two women, it sounds like, come to confront him. And it's about money he has taken from them. It sounds like in exchange for time with a child. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people say, okay, Marlene says, I don't think, it doesn't sound like Candus to me. Some people say it does. Some people say it doesn't. Either way, this dude's got to be exposed.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. And I slowed it down a little bit, okay?
Okay.
Oh, bullshit.
What you doing?
Really?
Right here. Pardon me. It sped up a little too much.
You started with my daughter.
No, I did not.
Okay, so she says, yeah, you did. You started with my daughter. He says, I did not.
Yeah.
That's what you were doing the whole time. I didn't even really know.
No.
She said, that's what you were doing the whole time. I didn't really even know.
That was the part that made me feel like it was
sounds
Candus.
like her. When she says my daughter, it sounds just like her.
Yeah. And when she says, I didn't even really know, like that is, she does add these really weird inflections into some of her words sometimes. And when she's trying to act like she didn't know something, it's like, oh, Donnie, I didn't even know. Like,
She does talk like that. She does talk like that. And for some reason, this guy, who is not a good guy, guys, no hero in this story, okay?
Right.
Secretly took this audio and posted it on Facebook at the end of February. Very odd.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
What you were doing?
Took my
You know
money
what
last
to
night.
do? We're going to sheriff's on this?
He took my
So
money
she
out
would
of my
die.
Okay, she's saying, is she saying he was going to the sheriff or you knew we were going to the sheriff?
I thought she said, and this is only what I thought, guys.
Because it's hard to hear
how everyone hears this. I heard it as the only one who knew that we weren't going to the sheriff's on this was, and then she goes on to say, was me and my mum.
Okay.
I was me and my mom.
The sheriff's on it. She wasn't dying. Only me and my mom.
You were the only one in. Guess what?
I didn't do nothing.
You were telling
Hey, let me tell you something.
praise.
You
Come on, you need to go.
See,
Jerry's lying and he's fucking telling
Baker,
his
you're lying.
people.
You're lying.
Telling his people on the
You're
other
really
side.
crazy. is
Yeah.
what you are.
Right. ST boy.
You're not.
ST boy. I think we know what those initials mean.
Right.
So then she's talking to the woman in the background who you only hear once, and she goes, Mom, Jerry's lying.
Mm-hmm. Which kind of assumes that whoever is there, I'm not going to be definitive about it, is with their mum in the room.
Yeah, her mom's, whoever it is, the mom is in the room.
Fucking nigger.
Ooh.
I hate you. Don't you back to my ass, I'm telling you.
You better get your shit back there.
Everybody's got your
Give me
stuff.
my stuff out of that person you took.
I didn't take none of your purse.
Okay, bitch.
I'm dead serious, Baker. I'm dead serious.
Ass nigga.
There's a lot better people than that.
Mhm.
A lot better people than that, Baker.
What?
I know a lot better one than you.
No, you got what? You got little babies.
She said, you got little babies. Now he's trying
Yeah.
to tell her I'm better people than that.
Right. Another thing I just wanted to say about this was that people were saying to me that it could be anyone from Tennessee with that accent. Well, Candus's accent is not a Tennessee accent. She's just not from Tennessee.
Mm-mm.
So to me, that's how I used my thought process to try to think about who it sounded like. To me, it doesn't even sound like someone from Tennessee. It sounds like someone with a different accent. And to me, it sounded like Candus.
It sounds like Candus to me. There's no telling.
Right.
We're not accusing it of being Candus.
Exactly.
Just a discussion. And
Exactly.
I know some people are like, no, that sounds like Candus. Some people are like, it's definitely Candus. I'm like, I don't think it's Candus.
I'm interested to hear like everyone's thoughts about it though, because so many people think it sounds like Candus and so many people think it doesn't. It's just interesting to hear why people do or why people don't. But it is a disturbing recording.
It kind of sounds like when she pranked Mary.
Yeah.
Only she's not pretending to cry.
Exactly. I agree.
Hey,
with
you
you,
did sex trafficking. You got
No,
a
no.
report on that.
I never done sex.
Yeah, you did. You started with my daughter.
No, I did not.
That's what you were doing the whole time. I didn't even really know
No, bullshit.
what you were doing.
Took my
The only
money
one
last
that
night.
knew we were going to sheriff's on this
You took my money
she
out of
wouldn't
my
die? Was me and my mom.
$300.
You were the only one.
He said, but you took my money, $700.
$700.
He also mentions $375. Some people say it sounds like a drunk Candus.
I thought he said $300 and something, but
It's
like
hard to
again,
hear.
it really is hard to hear.
Let's take a poll. Do you think this sounds like Candus or not? We're not going to accuse it of being Candus.
Right. I do. Personally, I do.
Yet.
But I know that a lot of people don't, so that's fine.
Jerry was mentioned early on in a Facebook group, but was never mentioned again. That's why I find this a little too coincidental that Jerry's been brought up again, and that they do have a Facebook friend in common. Now, mind you, you'll have to go through all of Candus's Facebooks because she's got a bunch of them to get the correlation. I'm not bringing that person up.
No, me either.
But then, guess what?
I didn't do nothing. Hey, let me tell you something. See?
Jerry's lying, and he's telling
You're
people.
lying.
Telling his people on the
You're really
side.
crazy.
Yeah.
You
Right, ST boy.
You're right.
What a nigger.
I hate you.
See, to me, that part sounds more like Grandis. That part sounded more like Grandis to me rather than Candus.
Me too. He does come back. His comeback is "I hate you."
Yeah. Well,
it sounds more like Grandis.
Some parts of it do, to me. But don't forget as well, like I don't live in America, so I'm not really used to hearing different intonations in accents and stuff. All I can say is from an untrained ear, from what I've heard of Candus speaking, from what I've heard of Grandis speaking, it seems to me as though these people sound like Candus and Grandis.
Right.
Only in my opinion.
You better get shit back there. Give me my stuff out of my purse you took.
I didn't take none out of your purse.
Okay, bitch.
I'm dead serious, baby. I'm dead serious.
All right. Okay. So then they're going through. I'm not going to put all these people's names up there. So anyway, Melissa says that's 100% her. Kay says, yep, that's drunk Candus. Some people say, no, it's a woman named, well, I don't want to say the name. They mentioned some other names that they had heard in like Facebook groups, was discussed other places. You guys be the judge. Some people say it's Sherry and Grandbun. I don't know. It sounds a lot like Candus to me. And I look at the timing of when they went and confronted him. This is a few weeks after Dawn went to jail.
Yep. A few weeks after Dawn went to jail and Candus started her own YouTube channel and was staying in a hotel on one night with a child that was asleep on the sofa, if you remember that.
Right.
She wasn't necessarily at home all of that whole time that Dawn's been in jail. So there is always a possibility that they went to visit this guy. But the thing is, I think what's getting overlooked somewhat by the discussion on whether it is Candus and Grandis or not is the content of the video. I mean, we can argue until like Christmas about whether it is Candus and Grandis or not, but ultimately this video is with the TBI because some child has obviously, at least one child has been victimized by at least one of these people, in my opinion, listening to the audio.
It's got to be looked at, period.
Right.
It's got to be looked at, period.
Right.
You know, it's I don't know. I mean, they do have, you know, a friend in common. Some people say more. I only could see one. It sounds like her. I don't know. Justice Janney says Dawn went to jail on January 7th. He went on February 7th.
February 7th.
And this recording was made a few weeks later.
Right. Around the time that Candus got her own YouTube channel, and then around the same time that she was staying in a hotel one night, and there was a video that she put on to YouTube, and there was their child asleep on the sofa, and the discussion at that point was who that child was. It was around or about that same similar kind of time when that happened, just to put it in context of the timing.
But having a mutual friend, exactly what she said. She brings up her mom. You started with my daughter. Can't point any fingers because we didn't see her.
Right. And just as much as anyone thinks it's 100% not her, there's people that think it's 100% is her. But you know, like at the end of the day, I guess the content of the video is more important at this point. If it is Candus, then I guess this is something that the TBI are going to be quite anxiously investigating. If it isn't Candus, then they should be anxiously investigating who they're talking about, which child they're talking about. It's quite scary conversation.
Very scary. It'll give you nightmares.
Right.
Really. It's sickening. Hang on. Arabian said, I am certain I figured out who it is and it's not Candus. Now, I don't know if there's a connection, but it's certainly sketchy activity. Yeah, exactly. Right. Edna says probably an undercover name.
Possibly. I mean, anything can happen. And in this case, like we've seen from the beginning, nothing now would, I keep saying nothing would shock me, but then I still continue to be shocked. But, nothing really is out of the ordinary anymore in this case. This just keeps getting crazier.
It does keep getting crazier. The connection is what bothers me, that they have a mutual friend. But let's face it, I mean, Candus loves Facebook.
I know you're not going to say the name of that friend, but could you give some context around who that mutual friend is without actually saying their name?
It's no one we've heard of in this case.
Right.
It's not like Allie or Sherry or any of them, because if it was, I'd be like, oh, well, by the way,
they
know them too.
Exactly. There was no obvious.
So it could be innocent enough. Friend. It's just, this does not sound like a Tennessee accent.
Uh-huh. I agree with that.
So hopefully this is looked into very soon.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the conversation that they're having
is eerie. It's gross.
Is absolutely gross and is related to the person that they have in common. That's all I can say about it without, going too deep into it. The person that they have in common is, known for a certain crime that's being discussed. So, ultimately, I guess that's a red flag to me. And the fact that he was around at the beginning of the case, was mentioned at the beginning of the case, and has never been mentioned since. I mean, now obviously other players have taken over. There's been a lot of extraneous people that have been brought into this case or have brought themselves into this case. There's a lot of red flags, and the biggest red flags are that conversation in itself, without even discussing who it is in that conversation. The conversation is disturbing enough in itself and will be, I should imagine, investigated because of that.
It's also a huge red flag that we would even try to correlate that it would be Candus. Is that not a red flag in itself?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, why would people hear that and think? Why would you hear that and think it was Candus? That was my first instinctive reaction was, oh my God, that's Candus. Now, I was not told that was Candus. No one said to me, is this Candus? I just listened to it. My first reaction was, I'm listening to Candus talking to this guy, Jerry. And I'm thinking, whoa. But then I guess when you start sort of like thinking, well, if it's not Candus, does it matter if in some respects? Because they're still talking about a child that has obviously been through some horrific stuff.
Well, I hope they get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, I do.
A lot of people said, I think it sounds like Candus.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope it's not Candus.
I hope it's not either, but you just kind of have to ask yourself, why would your brain go there when you first hear it? If you think it does sound like Candus, why would you think that if it didn't sound like Candus? People hear things differently. I posted that yesterday and people told me all sorts of different things that they could hear. People told me it was Candus. People told me it wasn't Candus. But the thing is, at the end of the day, I don't understand why I would have thought it was Candus if it didn't sound like her,
I think it's because most of us, I shouldn't say most. It seems to be kind of 50-50. Well, actually, on this part, most of us believe that Candus is an abusive mother.
Right.
That she was not good to suffer.
And we could easily imagine it being Candus in terms of what they're actually talking about. Because she has tried to blame, well, so has Don, but they have tried to blame a lot of people. They have been spoken about as being involved in that kind of crime. When it comes to Summer, that has been discussed at length, you know. And so I guess some of the reaction that I had to it is possibly based on things that I had heard before or assumed that perhaps was going on, or you know, it almost can confirm to me, well, it, you know, it not just sounds like Candus, but this is the kind of thing that I expect to hear when it comes to Candus. So perhaps to me that was why my thinking about it was influenced and swayed a little bit. But
well, hang on, I'm going to put it back on. Bear with me a
Okay.
second, okay? I got to
Okay.
find it again. A lot of people missed it, so entertain the
Okay.
crowd, please.
Okay. I'll just do my job then. Yeah, it's interesting. It's really interesting. Like, people thought yesterday they can come at me in my comments and I'm not going to say anything. Ultimately, everybody that has listened to this video has a different opinion about it, and I'm totally fine with that. The last thing that anyone needs to be doing when it comes to this recording is making personal jabs at people for what they heard or what they think they heard. You know, it's perfectly fine for everyone to have a completely different reaction and thought about it. So to me, it's interesting. I find that interesting. So I'm interested to see what people are saying in the chat right now. Yeah, trafficking is not something people talk about in casual conversations. They don't know or realize what's going on. Yeah, I agree, but that kind of wasn't a casual
Not at all.
conversation.
So why are so many people's minds going that way? I think it's because people don't trust Candus. They don't
Right.
trust that she. They don't doubt that she would do something like
Exactly.
We're not saying it's Candus. It's just a
It's not.
conversation, because this has been running wild. People saying this is Candus.
Right.
I've received this video. I can't tell you how many times people saying, you have to listen to this. You have to listen to this.
Yeah.
You have to listen to this.
It's just
So
not
we're gonna
beyond the
listen
realms
to
of
it again.
possibility. It's not
Not
beyond
at
the
all.
realms of possibility.
Okay, I got to slow it down. Okay, I'll put it at 75. Here we go.
Okay.
Yeah, lots of people missed it. I apologize.
You started with my daughter. One of
No, I
them.
did not.
That's what you were doing the whole time. I didn't even really know.
No.
When you find that thing that you're willing to cross the entire universe to be with,
Bullshit.
What's good on HBO? Let me go back.
Yeah, you did. You started with my daughter. One
No,
of
I
them.
did not.
That's what you were doing the whole time. I didn't even really know
No,
what
bullshit.
you were doing.
Took my
The only
money
one
last
that
night.
knew we were going to sheriff's on this
You took my money
she
out of
would
my book last
die?
night.
was me and my mom.
$300
You were the only one in.
$300
Guess what?
I didn't do nothing.
You were telling
Hey, let me tell you
just
something.
praise.
You
Come on,
are a
you
piece of
go.
shit. See?
Jerry's lying and he's
No.
fucking telling
Baker,
his
you're lying.
people.
You're lying.
Telling his people on the
You're
other
really
side.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Right, ST boy.
You're right.
Fucking nigger.
I hate you. Don't you back someone else, I'm telling you.
You better get your shit back there.
Everybody's got your
Give me
stuff.
back some of that person you took.
I didn't take none of your purse.
Okay, bitch.
I'm dead serious, Baker. I'm dead serious.
That's it.
A lot better people than that. A lot better people than that, Baker.
What?
I know a lot better women than
No,
that.
you got, what? You got little babies.
No, I don't have babies.
Yeah, you did. You do sex trafficking. You got
No, I
to
don't.
report on
I
that.
ain't never done sex.
Yeah, you did. You started with my daughter. One of
No, I
them.
did not.
That's what you were doing the whole time. I didn't even really know
No,
what
bullshit.
you were doing.
Took my
The only
money
one
last
that
night.
knew we were going to sheriff's on this
You took my money
she
out of
wouldn't
my book
die?
last night.
was me and my mom.
$300.
You were the only one in.
$300.
Guess what? You
I didn't do nothing.
you were telling
Hey, let me tell you
just
something.
praise.
You
Come
are
on,
a
you
piece of
go.
shit. See?
Jerry's lying and he's
No.
fucking telling
Baker,
his
you're lying.
people.
You're lying.
Telling his people on
You're
the
really
side.
crazy. Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
Right, ST boy.
You're right.
It's hard to listen to.
It's still like a 50-50 split as well in the
I know.
chat about who it is.
It's 50-50.
don't know why it was recorded. I mean, like I said,
For
I don't
some
really know.
reason, this guy recorded it and he posted it.
On Facebook, public as well. It wasn't a private video, it was a public video. It's still up on his Facebook as well.
Okay, Arlen said that's not her. A lot of people saying it sounds like her. Some are saying it's definitely her. Time's gonna tell.
But like, at least I wasn't the only one that thought it was definitely Candus and Grandis. I mean, you know, I don't feel as vilified as I did yesterday by other people saying that it's definitely them, but I'm not saying it's definitely them. I'm open to hearing what everybody thinks about it, for sure. And it seems like it is a bit of a split decision. But the context of it is what's important, really, not the actual
the context, and that it's been turned in.
Mm-hmm.
It's been turned in, and it I have a feeling we're going to be hearing Jerry Preston's name really soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a feeling too. I mean, whether this was put on his Facebook for some kind of leverage or protection, or you know, that's another part of the story that doesn't really make sense to me. Why you would have a conversation like that and then put it public on Facebook? It's kind of like, what motivation could you have for doing that? Unless it was in case something happened to you, or
it seems like he felt threatened,
right?
Because it's mid-conversation he starts recording.
Exactly. Because if you feel threatened and you start recording something that may implicate you in a crime and put it public on Facebook, I mean, surely that's one of the craziest things that you can do. But
even if it's accidentally posted, how would you not notice after a month and some change that this is sitting on your Facebook? It's still there.
Well, someone just said, you started with my daughter, one of them, meaning she has more than one daughter. Proof it isn't Candus. Well, Candus does actually have two daughters, but that's besides the point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Candus has two daughters.
But I don't think that's what's I don't think that's important. I mean, she could have been saying, you did the S trafficking, and he says, no, I didn't. Well, you started with my daughter, one of them, meaning that was one of the people that you started with, you know, not one of my daughters. There's different ways. This is why I'm interested in the video, because there's so many different ways of hearing this video. And I think it's quite often that it's quite shown itself to be that way by the amount of conversation that's being had around it. And I'm always up for a conversation about these things, whether you agree with someone or not.
No, that's why I love this community. We can agree to disagree, and we discuss all these things. So either way, old Jerry and the two women that came to visit him need to be called to the carpet.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Need to be called to the carpet.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to that with us and discussing it with us, because that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to have a conversation about it. So I'm glad that's what's happened.
Oh, yeah, we have the coolest community ever. Nobody's here to be a right fighter. You know, it's just like, no, it doesn't sound like her. Some people are like, oh, it's definitely her. Then they're like, it's drunk Candus. It kind of sounds like her.
It's a lot of unknowns, but yeah, ultimately it was good to.
And Suzanne, you're right. Yeah. And when her teenage daughter called her, Candus told her, don't ever effing call me again. She was not going to even discuss why she didn't have custody of her, why she lost custody of her, try to make up for the horrific childhood she had in foster care. She didn't care. Didn't even tell her, you have 4 younger siblings. You have a little sister that would love to meet you. This is what happened. You know, whatever. No, she didn't want. When I heard that about her older daughter,
I mean, she doesn't even admit to having 2 other children outside of the 4 that she's got. She doesn't even admit to that when she was talking on even on her own channel. I've got 4 kids. Well, actually, you've got 6 children. If you've forgotten the fact that you have 2 other children in Wisconsin that you've wanted nothing to do with since one was 6 months old and one was 18 months old. You know, how sad is that? Like,
it's disgusting.
Well, yeah.
She put one up for adoption, which is the only good thing Candus has ever done.
Right.
But I mean, she lost 2 to the state of Wisconsin, 3 to the state of Tennessee, and poor little Summer's missing.
Yeah. Yeah. So she can sit there and say she only has 4 children all she wants, but we know that she has at least 6 children. that we know of, that she's given birth to, that we definitely know of. There may or may not have been another child. We don't know for definite about that. And Don has 6 children too, because Don has 2 older children.
Yeah.
You know, so neither of them have been like stellar examples of parents, regardless of everything else. You know, there's 8 children at least out there that have had no kind of love and parenting and example set to them in life. So yeah, so that's like always going to be a red flag to me. Like I've said before, even when and if law enforcement clear them, which 9.5 months later they haven't managed to do, there's probably a part of me that still will suspect them, because, you know, they've given me reason to.
Red flags everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
For anyone to even assume that that video was Candus tells me something. Now, again, we don't know if it's Candus. It's going to be investigated for sure. I hope it's not Candus. I hope it's not.
Oh, I hope it's not, because if anything that was said in that video is actually correct, which I somehow doubt anyway, just because of the way that we know Candus to be. If it was Candus in that video, then what they are talking about is some of the darkest stuff that you can, well, you don't even want to imagine it. It's disgusting.
No, it's disgusting. To even throw around dollar amounts that were exchanged
exactly
is ridiculous. The woman even says, basically, she wasn't supposed to die or something like that.
Just shocking to the core. Like, whoever it regards and whoever is involved, I don't want to think of this situation going unresolved in terms of this victim that's being talked about in this video, you know?
Yeah, Honest Rage said crack is an awful garbage drug.
You can say that again. To be fair, most drugs are, but, you know, that's my opinion.
Hang on. This is what a lot of people have been saying. Listen to some of her other videos of her drunk fight with Dawn.
Yeah.
It sounds like Candus to me. I know.
I agree. And like we've said since the beginning of this show, in this video, we're not here to say it's definitely Candus or it's definitely not. But by the same
we never heard a name. We didn't see a face. Just it's everyone's. I mean, you know, I've got a lot of messages over the weekend. It started on Friday going, you have to look at this. You have to look at this. This sounds just like Candus.
And why would we think that instinctively unless there was something behind what we know about Candus and knowing her voice and her proclivities and her tendencies, that we would think Candus? Well, like, I would think Candus instantly. You know, I don't think that's because I'm stupid. I think it's because that, you know, naturally is the first thing that came to my mind. I'm not saying anyone else is right or anyone else is wrong. That's just me. No. And that's the thing. We can just agree to disagree. It's a discussion. Exactly.
I'm laughing at this comment though, because I do this. And I have been told in other chats, don't use all caps. I get it, because it sounds like you're being aggressive or trying to get attention. If I don't have my glasses on my face, I can't see what I'm typing. So I turn the caps lock on so that I can see what I'm typing.
Yeah, I've said that to my mum before. My mum texts me in all caps sometimes, and I'm like, please stop shouting at me. Like, she's like, I wasn't shouting, I didn't have my glasses on. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's what I have to do. That's why I feel bad when people come in, they're like, I'm sorry about the caps. And I'm like,
that's fine.
I got it.
OP
Bree said WJHL is covering the investigation tonight.
Oh, really?
There will be an update. The investigation about this video, or do we have something on Summer, or hopefully they're not connected?
Oh, I'd like to hear the WJHL coverage, though, whatever it's about. I have to look out for that. Thank you for that information.
Yeah. Suzanne said, thank you, Brooks. I broke mine. I got to super glue mine.
Always have a spare pair, I find.
Or sometimes, I'll just grab my husband's and I'm like, ooh, these are a little bit stronger, but whatever works.
Yeah.
So before I wind this down, over the weekend, I know a lot of people were asking if we're going to cover this case. We were about to, but it seems that there's been a resolution in the case.
Oh, which case?
Cassie Curley was found over the weekend. Yeah. So I'm going to play this real quick and then we'll discuss some more. And hang on one second. All caps sometimes are used to get your attention. Yeah, sometimes they are.
But we don't have any rules about it in here, I guess, is the thing. You know, it doesn't, it's not.
I'd be a real hypocrite if we did, because
Right.
I use caps all the time.
The tragic update to the missing Florida mother we first told you about last week.
Officials tell us that Cassie Carley was found in a shallow grave in an Alabama barn. Her ex-boyfriend, who is a suspect, is already in jail. 80 Side's Nico Clemens starts us off tonight in the Tampa newsroom with the very latest. Nico, good evening to you.
Hey, just an absolute tragedy for this family, and especially Carly's 4-year-old daughter, who will now grow up without a mother.
So it's not the ending that we wanted.
A heartbreaking end to a week-long search for Cassie Carley. The detectives say they found the mother Saturday night, identifying her by a single tattoo.
I mean, it gives them some closure that they know where she's at now, but still, it's their daughter. I mean, you know, daughter and sister, and it is terrible.
The Santa Rosa sheriff says Carly's ex-boyfriend is connected to the property where detectives found her. He's charged with tampering with evidence and giving false information. The sheriff says he is not cooperating.
It's your baby's mother, and she's missing, and you're not going to cooperate with authorities. That's kind of telltale.
Carly's family says she has shared concerns about her ex-boyfriend for some time.
She's always said, if something happens to me, it's him. And
The family still with more questions than answers.
I think we have a great case, and I think he's either going to spend the rest of his life in prison or he's going to get the needle. So hopefully the needle.
The sheriff and the state attorney anticipate more charges after an autopsy is performed. That happens tomorrow. In the Tampa newsroom, I'm Nico Clemens, 8 on your side.
Oh, strong words from the sheriff there, Nico. Thank you. Cassie.
Yeah, the sheriff said he's going to get the needle.
Yeah, that's tragic.
They don't mess around. They don't mess around.
No.
So I was really hoping that, you know, she was going to be found alive. She wasn't. I know a lot of people were like, are you going to cover this? I just heard about it on Friday, so I was going to do a show about it this week. She was found over the weekend. The boyfriend has been charged.
Rest in peace. And obviously, like, thoughts go out to her children, family. Poor little girl. It was her daughter.
Awful,
Tragic.
awful, awful. So everybody's still on the fence. Some are saying it's Candus. Some are saying it's not Candus. They've heard who it really is. So, Okie Bree, I got to ask again because I missed it in the comments. It's WJHL. What's the update on this video of Jerry's or on Summer?
I kind of hope it's on Summer because it would be good to have some further updates on Summer's case, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, that would be wonderful.
I felt that after Chris McDonough's interview. I wanted to say that when I listened to Chris McDonough's interview, although I was, you know, obviously interested in the charges and stuff, which may or may not be coming forward from Utah, I really hope that, and this is no disrespect to Jeannie or Mary or any of the people that have come forward with claims against Dom, but I don't know how to say this without sounding harsh. I don't want it to take precedence over Summer's case. I feel like that needs to be resolved before anything else happens in terms of Don and Candus and all of them. Like, I want Summer to get justice first, not at the expense of the others, just as more of a priority to me, I guess. That's how I felt.
Oh, no, and a lot of people feel that way. It's like, you know, focus on Summer and then others. A lot of people feel that way. There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. Okay, thank you. I just felt a bit guilty for feeling like that, but it's just Summer's case needs more, not more attention. It needs more updates, official updates, and it'll be interesting if WJHL are doing an update on Summer's case tonight. For sure.
I hope so, and I just hope that they rack up the charges on everybody they've ever harmed, especially Summer.
Right. I agree.
They said it's on the evening broadcast, so what is it, 6 o'clock Eastern time? I believe there's two. I think there's a 5 o'clock and a 6 o'clock. Okay. Either way, we'll catch that tonight. I'm going to be late tomorrow. I have an appointment in the morning, So I don't know what time I'm going to be on. If not, for sure, Wednesday morning.
No problem. If you're around tomorrow, we'll be here for you, Brooks.
You bet we'll jump in. Don't you worry. You bet we'll jump in. So, guys, make sure you hit that reminder. I think it's like remind all. Somebody had to tell me the difference.
Oh, so you make sure the bell's filled in. When you hit the bell, you make sure it's a filled in bell, not an empty bell. Because if you've got an empty bell, then you won't necessarily get all of the notifications.
Mm-hmm.
If you click remind all or notify all and the bell gets filled in, you should get all the notifications from the channel. Or
even better, just check in every morning, because 9 times out of 10, I'm live every morning at 9 a.m., sometimes twice a day.
Yeah, you are.
Energizer Bunny.
Absolutely.
Kat, you are awesome. Awesome friend. You have an awesome channel. Everybody go check it out. Kat Chats Crime and Coffee. Thanks for coming up today. And I know it was a really hard show to do because we don't know who this woman is. It sounds like Candus. Needs to be addressed. It's got to be out there, because either way, there's a child that needs to be saved.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for having me up, Brooks. Thanks to everyone in chat, and I'll catch you on the next show.
Yeah, you're going to catch me back in Discord in a little bit, because we have a Discord live today.
Oh,
I believe
I
it's
forgot about that.
4 of the thing about Pam.
Excellent. I'll chat with you about that. I've just got to pop out quickly, but hopefully I'll be back in time for that.
No problem. See you in a minute.
Love you, folks. Speak to you later.
Ya.
Bye, everyone.
Joy Catcher, aren't wrong. I meant, feelings aren't wrong. Did I miss something? And who the hell is Crazy Lisa that's been in here trying to raise my blood pressure on a Monday? Yeah, Yvonne, I've got to listen to it several times. I got to listen to it slower. But in the meantime, don't forget, noon Central in Discord. If you go to general voice chat, we're doing part 4 about Pam Hupp. That's where we're covering that in there. Thanks for being here. I mean, it's a crazy Monday already. What a way to start the week with listening to a video like that. Oh my God, that was, too much. But I want to thank Kat again for coming up and going through that with me. Mod Squad, guys are awesome. Guys are my gold medalists. I don't know how you do it. And I got to thank all of you. You guys are the best community on YouTube. You're the best chat. Love the discussion and the fact that we can agree to disagree, and we're all friends at the end of the day. So I'll see you back here sometime tomorrow. Okay. I don't know how long I'm going to be at my appointment. So you guys have a great afternoon. See you in Discord for the thing about Pam. And until then, until next time, bye-bye. Ooh, thunder. Did you guys hear that? Ooh, I may not be back. I might not have any electricity. All right. Bye-bye.